Hello everyone, this is our last Monday morning meeting, and so I'm going to give you a quick overview and hopefully this will help you out. So have a great week and let me know if you have questions. I'm going to close up my video and get going with the overview. Okay, so let me just jump into the course. Okay, I'm going to go over to the course content. And as you know, we are winding down. We have one more lecture and one more quiz left. We're now up to quiz 15. I'm going to emulate your view so it looks a little bit more like what you see. Now I'm going to go over to the course content. So when you go into the class projects and labs folder, this is where you're going to submit your interactive learning tool project. When you go into the topics in education, of course, this is where you're going to get access to the lecture and then be able to take the quiz. So now the newest quiz content is released. You'll find that there should be an RWLD blog released for you. So the readings, writings, listenings, and doings for you to complete. And then in addition to that, of course, you're going to go into this being a change agent in your school folder. You're going to listen to the lecture recording. I believe it's a fairly short lecture. Yeah, it's only a 17-minute lecture.
Today for this
I'm
presentation.
going to close out of that. And then you'll also be able to access the handout by clicking on this link, which is pretty much just slides. Not a lot of slides in this presentation. And then, of course, your quiz is due on Friday, December 13th at 10 p.m. Okay, so keep track of that. I'm going to go back into the course content area and just kind of point out a little bit about the interactive learning tool project. Now, at this point, you've turned in pretty much every single one of your projects except for that either that interactive learning tool project or your Google Classroom certificate or your Google certification project. I have graded most of your work. The Google Classroom will be graded by our teaching assistant, our graduate assistant, Kyle. And I believe that's going to be all graded very soon. So you should probably have a very good idea of what your grade is shaping up to look like at this point in the semester. If you have questions, let me know. You have that one big project left. It's worth, if you do the Google certification, it's 120 points. If you do the, because it brings in a little bit of extra credit to inspire you. And then if you ended up doing the interactive learning tool, that's 100 points. You're not going to be penalized for not doing the Google certification, but you'll just get that extra, just a little extra benefit if you were to do the Google certification. Just also wanted to point out extra credit. Today is Monday, and so if you wanted those 20 points, there's a max of 20 points extra credit you can get, with Google certification being an exception. So if you've already submitted extra credit, great. But if you still need 20 points extra credit, you can certainly stop by and attend our Hour of Code event today. And then what you would do is you would respond to the prompts relating to Hour of Code. I believe you would upload your certificate and a brief reflection. And you'd provide that in this area, this extra credit area. So I'm going to go back. But just be aware that that extra credit could help boost your grade from, you know, a B- to a B or A- to an A or so forth. So that extra credit could be helpful, especially if you're wavering between two possible grades. So now I'm going to just go into the interactive learning tool. Again, your Google Classroom will be graded by the TA in the very near future. So I'm going to go into this interactive learning tool project. The project requirements are all provided here. As always, you're going to, at the end of your project, in addition to submitting the actual project that you're going to create, you're going to submit a reflection. And the reflection, the information about the reflection, the prompts you need to do will include, you know, the project supports a unit theme of, and you'll talk about whatever unit theme you created. And what standards and skills you addressed in your unit. So you've already thought that through. and also what grade level they're intended. That just helps the person looking at it finally to see whether it's age appropriate, whether the standards are met, and so forth. So be sure to address those three. And then, as you've done many times throughout the semester, you're going to align with 2 ISTE standards for educator. In this case, it's not going to be for students, it's going to be for the educator. And you're going to talk about which specific indicator, so that would be like, it could be ISTE standard 5, but it's going to be ISTE indicator 5A, for example. So be specific, and of course you're going to align with 2 of those ISTE standards. I'm going to click on the ISTE standards for educators just so you can see that. I think I have to share my screen again so you can see. Here we go. Yeah, so here, now you should be seeing the ISTE standards for educators. So when you're thinking about what you're going to align with, because you're creating an interactive learning tool where your students are going to have an engaging experience, and they're going to actually be contributing information as well as receiving it, participating, exploring. Standard 5, you might well find something under Standard 5. You might well find something under Standard 6 where you're facilitating learning. So find 2 standards, and you can find 2 indicators under the same standard if you want. You know, you can have 2 under the Standard 5 for designer if that makes sense to you. But you'll be able to select what makes most sense once you've gone ahead and created your project. So I'm going to share to a new screen. I'm going to go back to our, oh, here, I got to close this out. 1 second. There, I'm going to go back to our, there we go. I've got to just share this. It's a little complex switching from one sharing to another, but I want to be sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. So here we go. So now you should be seeing the interactive learning tool overview again. So again, the purpose of this overview is just really to put all the information in a one-stop shop for you. So what you're going to be doing is you want to be sure to look at this article, and you're going to be creating a learner-centered interactive learning tool, and you're going to need some kind of repository to kind of pull all the experiences together. And I've seen some students do it with a website where they have different links where they'll have the student go out and look at a video, or they'll have the student go out and do some reading, or a number of different things. Maybe they're playing a learning game, and then that student is coming back to that website, and then the website's going to let them maybe use a Padlet to talk about, you know, what they thought, or to share a math problem of their own, or whatever. And so since you need 3, you would then have another learning experience that's also aligned with your theme and your standards, and that might be something like, again, one of my other students did something like where they had a virtual tour of the Amazon rainforest, and again, in that same website, the child came back after looking at that virtual tour of the Amazon rainforest, and they used either a Flipgrid or VoiceThread or Padlet to share some thoughts and ideas. So it doesn't have to be super complicated to be super effective. So have fun with it and try to make it really simple for the student to learn. You know, I'm sure I pointed this out to you before. We always have examples from what students have done in previous classes. These were not students of mine because this is my first semester here, but these are students that from previous classes who did different projects. So you'd be able to go and take a look at some of these different ones. You can see they use all different kinds of, I hope you're seeing this. Let me just be sure you're seeing what I'm seeing here. Let me just be sure you there. Now I'm sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. So this is the interactive learning tool examples that you'll be able to find. So a lot of students used Adobe Spark as a centralized point, and some of my students in my face-to-face class said it's a really good, easy to use tool for that centralized point of contact to branch out and have these interactive experiences for your students. A lot of other people though have used things like, in my class anyway, they've used Google Sites, they've used Google Slides. I'm not seeing Google Slides here, but that's certainly another opportunity. Some people have used Prezi. and they've provided links out where the student goes out from the Prezi and then comes back to the Prezi again to participate in something else. So go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to just bring up one of them, but take a look at some of these fun examples. I want to be sure you're seeing this. Yeah, so you should be seeing this food pyramid, and then what ThingLink allows you to do is provide interactive links around an image. So then there is a calorie math worksheet here, which is probably Google Docs. There are some informative pieces of information. So make sure that it's a working, effective, interactive tool, but you don't have to use a website or a blog. You can use any number of different things. So I'm now going to, don't want to go have me here. Let me bring up my share again. I'm going to go back to this. And now I'm going to go back to the content. And we'll move over to another area that you might be having some questions about. So what I just want to be sure that I'm sharing what I want you to be seeing. Okay, so you should be seeing right now, sure thing, a little bit more information about the interactive learning tool. I just want to point out again, you can ask questions for technical support right here in this discussion area, and that benefits everyone. And I get an instant email if somebody did post a question here. So don't hesitate to contact me via this strategy or directly. And then here's this interactive learning tool submission. I just again want to point out that there is a rubric associated, and this is a really great way to know what you need to submit. When you click on this link, you'll see exactly what the requirements are, and that's really helpful as well. I'm going to go back now, though, to the course content and go back into the class projects and show you where the Google certification is. This is where the Google certification assignment is described. I know you've seen it, you visited it before, you've thought about it, and some of you are still in progress with it. When you submit your Google certification documentation, what you're going to submit is information that Google will send you. They'll send you a certification certificate showing you passed the test. Okay, and they'll also, you'll be able to upload that because that's a PDF, and that's what you need here. Now, if you did all the work and you went through everything and you didn't pass, you can still get some points. You're not going to get no points for it because, you know, it's very, very time consuming. So you would still need to provide documentation that you went through all the training and you spent time in it. But you can work with me and I'll talk with you about how and what you need. Basically, you'd be giving me some screenshots documenting what you have accomplished. So keep that in mind as well. If you've done it, don't despair. If you spent 10 hours on Google certification and you failed the test, don't despair. Just I'd need documentation that you tried the test and you failed it, and also documentation that you really did go through all the modules. So that is pretty much what we have here. Good luck with your last few weeks of school, and please contact me if you have questions. I am really here to help you. So I'm going to close this video, and I hope you have a great week.